Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome. Thank you so very much for being here. We're going to have a wonderful time as we actually go through the process of discussing what is it that we're actually really trying to address at the moment. What challenges, what obstacles, what problems, what issues, what opportunities, what's the potential you're trying to unlock? Would you like some more confidence? Are you dealing with procrastination? Do you need to be more patient? Do you actually have to release some anger from inside your physical body so that you stop the dis-ease process? We're going to watch a little positive priming whilst we wait for people to join us. This is my session. All righty. Hello, Laura from Regina. SK, Canada. Is that Swashkin? I can't really pronounce it. You'll have to go out and say it. It's a bit like when people come to Australia and they try to pronounce some of the Aboriginal names like Mooloolaba. And people are like, what? How did you even get to that when they see how it's spelled? Thank you for being here. Alrighty, so do you know I do a lot of one-on-one and group coaching, small group coaching and running retreats and so forth. And people always tell me what it is that they really wish that they could eliminate from their lives and have evaporate and transmuted. And I'm really good at listening to people's stories and then saying, hey, you know what, I really think these would be the ideal sessions within the current library that you could watch. Now, having said that, we've got some pretty amazing people who are here with us today. So if you are a positive prime professional, you're actually certified officially, you've been through our incredible program and you're now authorized, feel free to come on out and actually share with us something else that you might recommend. So if you've got a session that you watch that really helps you deal with something in particular, then feel free to type in the chat and just say, hey, I've got something to add here. In the meantime, we're just going to watch mine. This is called Kim's Super Fun Playful Session or something like that. So after you've been a signature subscriber, you've upgraded your account, you're at the signature level or the VIP level. And if you've maintained your membership, the recurring commitment for a minimum of 12 months continuously, we actually do something really special for you. And we ask you, which are your favorite sessions, 3 or 4 or 5 sessions, and we actually put them together for you and create a super session that is perfect for you based upon this particular idea. So I don't really want to start 10 different sessions in any one day, but I might want to watch little bits of 10 sessions. So I have my super session, and this is the one that I've really personalized. So there's an enormous number of my photographs or images that represent my dream boards, my mood board, my vision board, my gratitude journal, my goals, ambitions, my wishes, my hopes, my dreams, my desires. And this particular session has got all of that in there. So if you look here, you can see on speed 2, it would take me 11 hours to actually watch this session. That's a lot, eh? No, because see, I can have it running whilst I'm on the phone or I'm in a meeting and my peripheral vision will see it. So I love this particular session. And I will watch this particular session at least, if I can manage it, once a day, sometimes twice a day. And I will watch it for a period of time, much more than 3 minutes or 4 minutes or 5 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever, as I go throughout the day. What I might even do is actually press pause if I really have to go to another tab and do something in particular, and then I'll get it going again, right? So who wants to help us with a question? So you can see I love Dr. Amy Sanchez's content. So, you know, one of her sessions is actually in my super mix. You'll see who's next. Who wants to come out and say, hey, Kim, this is what I'm dealing with, or type it in the chat. What would you suggest? What would you suggest?
I'll come out. This is Patty.
Hi, Patty. All right, so before you get to ask the question, will you do me a favor and will you tell me what's one session that you love and why in particular do you choose to watch it? What is the motivation?
You bet. So I watched this one 3 times this morning before I went out into my day because, okay, so the people in the US know it's election day, a big day, so much tension, polarization, so many bad feelings between people. And this session is called We Are All One, and it's by Jackie Maffenbeier, might have her last name a little wrong. And it's just an incredibly uplifting, unifying, good feeling place to be, with people hugging and sharing and connecting. And adding to that the whole COVID situation, it just is an extremely uplifting and mind balancing place. And I could have chosen a dozen other or 24 other ones that would have taken me into a generally good place this morning. But that was the one that I chose, and it's one that I do choose often.
That's a beautiful suggestion, Patty. And you know, Jackie is an incredibly successful businesswoman in Canada. People actually know her as someone with the Midas touch, or, you know, the ability for the golden sprinkling of fairy dust or whatever. And interestingly enough, she does a lot of work with Neil Donald Walsh. So for those people who are Neil Donald Walsh fans, she actually literally created this session in honor of him, almost as a gift, as an expression of his teaching. So I'm not surprised that you love that. I love it too. Alrighty, so what's your question if you have one?
My question, I guess, is so you put this super mix together, and I do watch super mixes, but when I have so much time only to watch few sessions in a day, I follow my intuition, usually with what I choose. How else might I choose when there are so many, and even whether I want to buy them or choose from my own library? Sometimes I fall into a rut of my same favorites. So how do I get out of my rut and choose from the mix of all the beauty?
Brilliant comment about trusting your intuition and really going with your instinct. Sometimes I will actually go to the shop. So it's Patty Krummer who's actually speaking right now. She is one of our authorized, certified, official Positive Prime leaders. She's doing really great work in terms of sharing Positive Prime out of central Pennsylvania with a lot of people. This is her session, The Mosaic Effect. It's also a beautiful session. She's, of course, not probably going to be the one that says, hey, look over here, watch my session. But I'm going to say, hey, look over there, watch her session. It's actually really good. It's about how we develop our strengths, our gifts, and our talents, and how we really stay true to ourselves, and we choose what is actually in the best interests of our goals, dreams, wishes, our lifestyles, our values. Patty, one of the things that I sometimes do is I go here to the shop, right? And I will literally come down here and I will go to 100 rows. So you can see that there's several pages. So we've got more than 100 sessions. And you know what? I can scroll up and down. Let's do this. Ready? Close my eyes, click. Which one? Gwen Rose's. Alrighty, so for those of you who are into magic and miracles and quantum physics, and you love the people like Dr. Joe Dispenza or Greg Braden or Bruce Lipton or Dr. Deepak Chopra or Jerry and Esther Hicks' work through Abraham, etc., 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 you could do something really like that and actually have faith and trust and believe that you literally clicked on this for a reason. I will tell you something super crazy. Most of you know I've just been through pacemaker surgery, so I'm having a little bit of difficulty regaining full movement in my left arm, and I'm left-handed, right? Can you believe it? Gwen Rose is actually a physiotherapy lecturer in Canada. This is about the fact that she has a very solid theory that when we focus on pleasure, we actually increase our ability for our bodies to move. And there's some positive priming research. I will tell you, they actually determine our capacity for acute pain by, in research labs, they get people to plunge their hands into ice, buckets of ice, and depending upon how long you can keep your hand in the bucket until it's absolutely excruciating and you have to pull it out really quickly because you can't stand it for another millisecond longer. Well, if you've been positively primed, you can actually sustain a lot more pain for a lot longer. And if you've been negatively primed, there is such a thing as negative priming. It's called watching the news in today's day and age, or spending too much time reading nasty comments on social media. The fact is that you actually can't withstand anywhere near as much pain and not for anywhere near as long. So it's very interesting. Why did spirit, God, angels, the universe, my higher self just get me to click on Gwen Rose's? All right, that is just a classic example, isn't it? Alrighty, so I'll be watching that one after this. All right, so before we go further afield, let me go back to the shop. Okay, so infinite. Let's just say I want to feel like there is infinite potential, playfulness and lightheartedness. I might go and search the word infinite. Oh, look, there's actually a session called Infinite Potential by me. And there's another really beautiful one by Dr. Margaret Evanow. And some of you may have actually seen the beautiful presentation that she did as a spiritual psychologist, a quantum psychologist. She's in California. Her session is absolutely magnificent. I love it. I actually do watch it. I really admire and respect her. And the funny thing is of course, I'm going to say that about everybody who we've worked with, for whom we're publishing these particular sessions. There are so many coaches and therapists and authors and healers and wonderful people who've got really important messages to share with the world. So I get to work with a lot of experts and authorities and wise people in terms of helping them to actually express themselves and offer a product like a positive prime session to their own audiences and also, of course, to everyone else here. So, I love that. All right, I'm going with a little look there so what do you choose? The truth is that I watch quite a lot of positive prime sessions because if I want a real pep me up before a presentation, I prime myself. If I'm actually dealing with a really difficult, complex decision where there's a lot of sophistication involved and there's a lot of long-term consequences involved, I absolutely prime myself several times while I'm going through that analysis process. I need my brain to be sharp, and we know because of the various ingredients that are in a positive prime session that when you're actually positively primed, you make more accurate decisions more quickly, and that's actually been very well researched. So I quite frankly watch a lot of different sessions because I'm quite frankly, as a businesswoman and as an entrepreneur, making a lot of really important decisions regularly, consistently. Alrighty, so another question. Anybody got a question? Let me show you one that I really believe in. Let's go back here. So who's seen Heal, H-E-A-L, the documentary on Netflix? Anybody here seen Heal, the documentary on Netflix? It's absolutely fantastic. Truly it is. There's only so much they can cover in a 1 or 2 hour documentary. So I think that they've done a great job. But the point is that it actually discusses forgiveness. And there are a lot of medical doctors, functional medicine doctors, a lot of healers, a lot of spiritual psychologists and so forth, who will tell you that forgiveness is really about forgiving ourselves and indeed forgiving others. And it's absolutely essential in the healing process and in being healthy. And healthy, I actually created a whole heap of beautiful graphics around healthy is H-E-A-L, heal, thy, T-H-Y, self. To be healthy is actually to be constantly in a state of healing thyself. And that is actually how I think of being healthy, right? So I think that forgiveness is one of these subjects that we don't really know how to navigate with a lot of elegance and grace. And there's a lot of confusion around what is forgiveness and who is it actually really for. Reverend Mr. Young is actually a dear friend of mine. I've been to stay with her and her husband in her home in Boise, Idaho. She is actually really quite beautiful as a human being. She walks her talk, and she has an incredible process and a business around forgiveness. She's actually also a death doula. So she helps actually people ease themselves into the process of passing. And I love this session. I really do. I think that her session is absolutely fantastic. So if you've got forgiveness work to do, like the personal and spiritual work to do, I would actually suggest to you watch a couple of different sessions on forgiveness. There's, of course, Misty's. Audrey Weidman is a lovely lady who's a health coach. She's in Chicago, and she actually sustained a heart attack. I had heart or cardiac arrests, which means my heart stopped, but there was nothing anatomically wrong with my heart. But when I was in the hospital waiting for my pacemaker surgery, I watched this session several times and tears would literally just well up and pour out of me. It was so cathartic. And it's really about coming to terms with my own peace with myself about how is it that such a healthy, vibrant, well, amazing human being like me ends up with a pacemaker? You know, what's with that? And that is probably why I'm also drawn to the messages in movies like Heal or movies like Tony Robbins' I'm Not Your Guru. Alrighty, so what else do we have here for forgiveness? Of course, I have created one which I think is really amazing. It's called Fulfilled Forgiveness. And then, do you know how many people I coach who've made terrible, dramatic decisions around money and their finances? Me included, right? Big time me included. Reverend Karen Rousseau, I actually met, she was an ordained minister working at Agape, the spiritual center by Dr. Michael Beckwith in Los Angeles, but she's actually a graduate with a master's degree in finance from Columbia University, and she does a lot of mainstream corporate consulting, executive coaching around sales and finances, and she has a great book called The Money Keys. Anyway, this is actually a lot of what Karen now does, is she helps people to come to peace with their past mistakes and their failures around money so that they can actually release themselves and allow abundance and prosperity and profitability and a completely different graceful pathway to making more money or saving more money or feeling like you're more wise. So, you know, I think that this is actually, it's a really, really, really beautiful session. I've watched it a lot because I feel like I've definitely made mistakes, lots of mistakes actually, some of them monumental, with all sorts of different subjects, mind you. And a lot of the work that we do in processes where there's turmoil or trauma, a lot of it has to do actually with forgiveness of ourselves, first and foremost, before there's even a process of forgiving others. So I'm not sure if that helps, but maybe it does. Who wants to ask another question? Because we've got this very precious time together. Only a couple more minutes.
I'd like to.
Excellent. Away you go.
So my parents are elderly now, and they actually need me and my brother and my sister to take turns to come into the home and just, we stay overnight one by one and help them all day long. It's interfered a lot with my hopes and dreams that I had for those times, but it's also a very precious time at the same time. My thing, I think, is though, when I'm there, it's not always easy to not take on like her pain, my mom's pain. She has a lot of pain. She can walk, sometimes, but always your hands on her gait belt. Sometimes she can't make it to where she wants to go. So it's really, as you can see, and it also has taken a toll physically on me, because now I'm going to the chiropractor to get my back all worked out. So anyway, are there any sessions that help a person with that wellness and not taking on someone else's illness that you're spending time with? Excuse me, sorry.
Judy, I want you to feel everybody who's here right now sending you love, because I know we are the kind of community members, all of us individually and then collectively, we have this power to send you beautiful healing love right now. Alrighty. So thank you so much for being really honest and open and sharing what's heavy on your heart. It's really tough to do, and I know it does take a lot of courage. We actually do have a session, interestingly enough, that's available for our members, and I'll go into that. But yeah, and I think that you've actually sent in your photograph, and you're actually appearing in it, and it's almost like a collective prayer and healing circle, and I actually do the energy work around it, and I invite anybody else who's involved in our community to do the same. I'll talk about that one in particular, but if anybody has any suggestions for Judy, I'm happy to you can say it or you can read it in the chat. I was going to suggest that Audrey's Heal Your Heart is actually an interesting one for you too, right? There is a great one by Mark Romero. I first got to know Mark Romero about 9-10 years ago, long time ago. I appeared on a telly summit, really at the height of my I Am Grateful book fame, or whatever you want to call it. Well, there was lots of busy activity. And Sonia Ricotti, who has this process called Unsinkable, she's actually also Canadian. She introduced me to Mark Romero, and he has really sacred music that has healing frequencies within it. So if you're into that kind of thing and you understand sound healing, I think Mark Romero's is actually really quite beautiful. What I was going to say to you is there is a beautiful human being who's a professional in our community. Her name is Donna Harmony Jones. She now lives in Florida. Donna and I have gotten to know each other really well over the last couple of years. This is called Caring for the Caregiver. She is actually a palliative care nurse and has been for, I think it's close to 50 years. Anyway, it's a long time. She helped really with the passing of her husband. She still works, and she also volunteers, and this is the message that she has for nurses professionally. So if I was you, I'd definitely watch Caring for the Caregiver. Now, having said all of this, in order for any one of us to actually internalize the messages, right, in order for us to have the messages actually integrate within our identity and ego and our beingness, we need to see photographs of ourselves in these sessions. So let's just say I was going to do Donna Harmony Jones. I'd go back to my dashboard. I would find Caring for the Caregiver. Where is it? Here it is. So I have her session already in my library, and I would go over here and I would edit. I could add a new image if I don't have enough photographs of myself. You could just go and take a couple of photographs of the favorite flower in your garden. I know that it's starting to get cold in North America and certainly in Europe, but you could actually upload some photos that are really meaningful for you, that are really significant for you. It will help you to actually have the messages settle within you so that it actually starts to help this incredible process whereby transform and transmute anything. The process is so much more efficient and effective when we personalize. So let's just say this is me. You can see there's a photograph of me. This is me, my beautiful niece. This is actually a photograph of a beautiful area in our own garden where we have a fireplace, an outdoor fireplace. And then this is another photograph of me. Now, I'm going to suggest that given most sessions have around about 1,000 frames, you probably want at least 10 to 20 photographs of you, all right? At least 10 to 20 photographs. So I'm just going to go to page 2. Look, here's my beautiful mum. They have to be really meaningful to you, okay? So, oh, there's a beautiful photograph of our cat there. Here's a photo of me. I've actually uploaded quite a photo. This is me and my dad. This is me in a magazine. This is actually one of my brands. This is me and Cameron, my beautiful other half. Here's me and Deirdre. So what I'm going to suggest is that you actually upload some photographs of yourself if you haven't already and integrate them into your sessions. I promise you it will make it much more potent for you. So you may as well maximize the effects, right, whilst you're going to watch a session. A lot of people don't know this, but you can go to the dashboard and you'll see, here's my private super mix for fun, but let's go back to caring for the caregiver. Now let's just say I don't have 15 minutes, right? Let's just say I've only got 5 minutes. I'll go into the runtime and I'll delete 15 and I'll put in 5 and now I'll press play and it'll load. If I haven't watched this session for a long time, and I'm actually going through a process where I've cleared the cache of my Google Chrome, it may take a little bit longer for it to load while it's gathering about 1,000 images from the servers. And then the second time I watch it, it's actually cached within Google Chrome. So that's why the third time it's actually much faster to load. Alrighty, so we're nearly complete with our time that we've had available, but I really don't want to leave anybody.
Kim, I have a question for you. Kim, can you hear me?
I can indeed, Thomas.
Good. I asked a question about a session that recommend for healthy relationship, particularly marriage.
Do you know what? There is actually a fantastic session. Let me go here to sessions. It's called Romance and Intimacy. So I'm going to skip this and back here to the shop. Romance and Intimacy is actually a fantastic session. I, of course, created it. I am a little bit of a workaholic. This one, I can confess, is necessary for me to stay focused on what is necessary for me to maintain my own relationship with my spouse. It does get me in the mood. A lot of my clients actually suggest exactly the same. I would suggest that a lot of us have sessions where we've integrated photographs of our children into our private collection, and we've also added in images of our colleagues or some of our goals. I would keep all of those types of photographs from your private collection out of the way that you personalize this particular session, right? You do not want to be thinking of anything other than the love of your life whilst you're watching a session. This is not the only session. There is a beautiful session by a really great coach in the UK. And this particular lady is very well known for helping people to save marriages that are absolutely in trouble. It's a beautiful session. This comes from her own experience and really a lot of the cultural expectations in the UK. So I would definitely watch Melody's session. I think it's beautiful and I think it's necessary. It's maybe not the only one. It also depends a little bit about what the other issues might be. And there's one that I quite like. And
I'm
it's
sorry, can you
actually
go back to that last one? What was it? Transforming, what is it?
Saving My Marriage and Transforming My Relationship for Joy by Melody Shadamoyo, and she's in the United Kingdom.
And these are all on your website?
They are. They're all in the shop. So all you do is log in, you go to the shop and you go up into credits. If you've got more than 120 credits, it means you'll have more than enough to buy it. So let's just say here, it says, get it now, and I can buy it. Now that I've bought it, I've added it to my account. But let me just go back here because I've actually messed this up.
You have to download it.
Yeah. So then I'm actually going to just refresh up here and go back to the dashboard.
Kim, this is Lisa, and I just have a real quick question, and you can just tell me a couple of names and I'll look for it. I'm looking for, what do you call it? Sessions on healing. I know we have the immune one, you know, making your immune stronger, but are there people are going through pain that, you know, the illness can be chronic, it can be a traumatic event, it can be, you know, like when you were doing your heart, I know you were doing a lot of the healing on many different levels. So that's kind of, I was going, is there like a, I almost feel like there needs to be like a healing menu or something, so they can help.
I couldn't agree with you more. And do you know what, Lisa? A lot of our upgrades to our platform that'll happen over the next couple of months will be an easier way to actually navigate the shop. What I can tell you is that I totally agree. There are actually a lot of people who are experiencing trauma. There are indeed a lot of people in pain. This one by Dr. Amy Sanchez is actually fantastic. It's called Healing Hurt. I would definitely be watching this one. She's an exceptional psychologist. She's got extraordinary credibility, reliability, and so forth. And she's a doctor of psychology, a lovely, lovely lady based, funnily enough, in California. So Dr. Amy Sanchez has 2 sessions, and Healing Hurt is one of them. I think it's a necessary session for all of us. All of us are hurt, even in our friendships, sometimes in business relationships, just sometimes by society. I would also say that, as I mentioned before, there's Healing in Harmony by Mark Romero. That's a great one. You do know that a lot of us actually heal in our sleep. So if you need better quality sleep so that you can go through the process of healing and having your lymphatic system actually working whilst you're asleep, I do believe that this one by Jayanne Palmer is actually beautiful. She's a really special craniosacral therapist, Reiki therapist, natural healer. She's a lovely lady. She's actually in Florida. She's incredible. She's actually really psychic. I've had a real treatment from her in her clinic in Florida, and it was just amazing. I will say also, Lisa, I think that there is actually a lot of steps in that process. So I'll give you an example. Rika Zimmerman has had one of those radical remissions. She had stage 4 brain cancer. She's an energy healer. She's a light worker, and she does a lot of really successful work around prosperity coaching. And this is a beautiful session about returning to divine happiness. And I kind of think it's of value to anybody. And it doesn't, I think that hurt sometimes manifests in very interesting ways. One of the things that hurt does is it knocks us out of flow. It doesn't allow us to actually be peaceful enough to be of the vibration or the frequency that's going to bring about what is actually in the best interests of our higher selves. So this particular session that I created around being in exquisite flow is really a very gentle reminder. It's very subtle. It's quite sincere and genuine about how to just settle yourself and be in a very tranquil and serene place so that you can allow flow into your life. Hurt, pain, trauma, what it kind of does is it causes us to seize up. And indeed, that's bad for our cardiovascular system because, of course, we're actually in a constriction phase in all of our soft tissues and in all of our organs. So sometimes it's a very good idea just to try to resonate with flow, and that can actually help to relieve it. There are two that I believe, I'm going to go Dr. Diane Shelton. She's an amazing lady. Transcending Trauma is actually a session that she gifted to us. She's an interesting professional. She was actually at Sandy Hook and was the doctor of psychology involved in that particular trauma. She did the employee assistance program provision for the community there, the teachers there. So I'm going to suggest to you that this is a particularly interesting one, because I feel like all of us have trauma in ourselves. We can't have got through the first 20, 30, 40, 50 years of life without being exposed to that which has traumatized us in some way, shape or form. So I think there's actually quite a lot of work for all of us to be doing on transcending trauma. One of the other ones that I actually just spoke to about with a client last night, and let me just go to Elizabeth. Oftentimes I will actually know the name of the author and not the actual name of their session. Alrighty, so Elizabeth Bradley's an extraordinary human being. A journey through grief. Even when we've lost our jobs, we're going through a grief process. Even when we're going through a relationship breakdown or a divorce process, we're actually literally going through grief. It's not just, of course, the process that we go through when somebody physically transitions and makes their journey over the rainbow. I believe that Elizabeth's content in this session is valuable for any of us that are struggling with the loss of anything. And let's all really be honest with ourselves, the loss of our freedom and the loss of our ability to achieve our own goals in our own ways and in our own time because of COVID is a very real loss energy that is actually arguably trapped in the global matrix at the moment. So if we had hundreds of thousands of people actually watching this particular session, I think that we could actually create a global healing for almost everyone. So that's what I would say about Elizabeth's. It is what I'd say about Elizabeth's. Now, if you're ready to move forward and feel uplifted and go for it no matter what, this is actually a fantastic session. Become Your Most Confident and Free Self by Catalina Anderson, an incredible professional from South America originally and now lives in Switzerland. Really an incredible professional. I would suggest that you actually do watch this for none other than maybe it'll give you the boost, it'll give you the uplift that will let you actually drive forward and take action. And I can't leave, even though we're already 6 minutes over, I can't leave without saying, for all of you who are using 1,001 excuses about the times of now, and you're keeping yourself in procrastination, and hey, by the way, it takes one to know one, right? So sometimes that's me. When I'm paralyzed because I'm overanalyzing, or quite frankly, I've been assaulted by too much negativity just by being exposed to today's life. Sometimes I think it's really interesting that I watch astonishing actions to get over myself and back into action. Any action in any direction is actually going to help us to break free. It's going to help us to actually move forward. So for those of you, let's go here and I'll show you one. I think procrastination is a very, very big issue. I think that we're so distracted as normal human beings living a normal life, real life in the real world at the moment. So I would definitely suggest that Astonishing Actions is one that you might want to explore every single day, just as a matter of helping you to get over yourself. There is an energy in the world at the moment that is preventing us from doing what is actually necessary and also desirable. And I find that a lot in my coaching and mentoring and consulting, where people really fall down is not because they don't have inspired ideas and not because they don't have support from others. It's because they won't follow through and they won't follow up. They won't do that consistently and regularly. They won't take enough action. Anthony Robbins, as you all know, I went to his entire Life Mastery University program and Date with Destiny and everything else like that back in 1999 after reading all of his books and listening to all his cassette programs. And he was like, just take massive action and move your body. And as you do that, you literally get yourself into a completely different physiology. And that physiology actually really does, I believe, help you to create miracles. I think that that's really and truly where the magic is, when you're in action, right? When you're in flow, when you're in movement, because as we all know, energy is moving. So we need to be resonating at the frequency of energy is always moving. I hope that's helpful. I don't want anyone to think that this is going to be the first and last time you're going to get an opportunity to do this. I'm going to be back again. It was 8:30 to 9 a.m. here in Australia, and I'm near Brisbane as a time zone. I'm doing it again. Most of you in North America will be asleep, but of course those in the UK and the US need different time zones for those of us who are down under in Southeast Asia. I will actually ask Mayumi to put this up as a video so that anybody can watch it. And I dare say the one that I do for those in the United Kingdom and Europe, and say Western Australia or Asia or the Middle East, anybody who's joining us this afternoon when I redo this at 5 o'clock, we're going to talk about completely different issues, and we're probably going to go through some completely different sessions. So for whatever it's worth, go watch another couple of Positive Prime sessions. Mwah! Maybe I'll do this again next week. We'll see. Just send me a message if you think it was valuable. Alrighty. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Alrighty. Ciao.